We're so back! But are we back enough? Quartermaster Creature here. Arrowhead has done a good job at addressing some issues recently, but certain things still need some love and attention from high command. Let's get into the things Helldivers 2 needs to be truly amazing. Today, we'll be speaking on performance first, then ship modules, weapon balance, and lastly a feature I so desperately crave, Helldivers. Let's talk briefly on performance. As many of my fellow propaganda commanders have experienced, Helldivers runs like a charger with its insides exposed. The recent performance changes are most welcome, but more please. I'd actually like to be able to stream the game again. DLSS perhaps? Anyway, I want to keep that brief. Let's move on to something that I actually know about. Ship modules. Did you know it's been almost 500 days since the last ship modules were added? I've been capped on super samples since before the incineration core were even envisioned. That's how long it's been. But how would we feel about tier 6 and beyond being more akin to upgrade paths? Let's work on tier 6 then. Over to the robotics workshop. My concept would entail two gloriously democratic choices. For example, all sentries prioritize marked targets instead of just mortars and turn to face them 50% faster. Or mines deploy a second full salvo 20 seconds after the first layer of mines. Of course, mines are situational, which is why I would love if we could unlock both tiers for the same amount of samples, but only have one active at a time, depending on diver preference and the mission at hand. Obviously, these are just examples. I'd love to see what other ideas you clever divers come up with in the comments. Let me know what you got.
Helldiver.
What? If you say anything again about 4.5% of people being subscribed or whatever the hell that means, I'm leaving. I'm getting in that pod and I'm going, okay? Nah, bye. No, the big one, for this quartermaster at least. Weapon balance. Let's get straight into it. A lightning round of Quartermaster's Council. Both Lady Liberty's most luscious illustrious Liberator and Liberator Carbine got a tasty damage increase from 80 to 90 on both. But still, why use the base Liberator over the Carbine, other than for the flex? The latter has a 35% higher fire rate than the default Liberator. As such, let's give the Liberator 10 spare mags instead of 8. This will give our shiny new divers more bullets to play with, and the base Liberator more total ammo than the Carbine. The Liberator Concussive received a damage bump from 65 to 75, but I don't think I've seen this weapon used since I still had ship modules to upgrade. Let's up the durable damage from 35 to 75. Give it full damage against exposed weak points, why not? Oh, and revert the name back to Liberator Explosive. It just sounds cooler, don't you agree? Another crowd control weapon, the Pacifier is basically a direct upgrade to the previous weapon, and it's still not great. Why stun enemies when you could just remove them from the battlefield equation altogether? As such, let's give it a brief little arc effect for every 2 or 3 bullets fired, like a miniaturized arc thrower, giving the Pacifier an actual use as a crowd control weapon. The Adjudicator has sadly been left in the dust by weapons like the Reprimand ever since weapon modifications were made available by High Command. I'd like to see its damage bumped from 95 to 115, and have access to drum mags unlocked at level 15, which the Reprimand could only dream of. I don't see it outshining the aforementioned SMG with higher capacity either. It should be a choice. More raw damage, but less ammo and less range, or more ammo with far superior effective range. The amendment is almost perfect. All this Quartermaster believes it needs to truly shine is foregrips and muzzle options to replace the bayonet, for those that don't enjoy opening devastators like the cans of fascism they are. As for the crossbow, there's a careful balancing act going on between it and the Eruptor currently. I think it needs not a buff, but a slight change. Give it rounds reload to be both more ammo efficient and give the choice to reload one explosive arrow individually without stepping on the toes of the Eruptor. The Dominator is a bot diver favorite for a reason. However, much like the crossbow, I don't believe it needs much to elevate it even further. Now, if I can say this without being sent on a re-education deployment to Hellmire, the Eruptor should share its heavy penetration with the Dominator. It's been the sole primary weapon to feature this for a while, and the Dominator could really benefit from it. The M6C, or Halo Pistol, needs a tiny damage bump from 110 to 120. This will allow it to very comfortably one-tap Devastators in their thoughtless little noggins. Nothing else to note on this one. Now, before we move on to stratagems, I'd really like to remove the cap on leveling weapons, or at least add some kind of prestige system. No, I'm not asking for golden skins or anything like that, but there's something in my brain, some efficiency anxiety that comes on once I've maxed a weapon out, that I'm wasting my time not leveling other weapons in its place. And this is why, when you reach level 25 with a weapon, it should either continue leveling with no further unlocks, or loop back to level 1 with all attachments still available. Maybe even give player titles or ship names as rewards. They're just text after all. Let me be the level 150 reprimander aboard my ship, Champion of the Constitution. As for stratagems, how the Epoch still doesn't have 4 shots per mag absolutely confounds me. This is an extremely simple change, and would make the not-so-black sheep of the charge-up weapons feel a whole lot better, in my opinion. Additionally, the arc thrower is good, but I don't think anyone would complain if we were able to simply hold the fire button to continuously shoot at the standard pace. As after a mission or two of using this thing at peak efficiency, yeah, I already have one robotic hand arrowhead. I'd really prefer if I didn't need another. One thing you might not know about this quartermaster is that I adore expendable anti-tank rockets. Imagine my excitement when the expendable napalm was announced, and subsequent disappointment upon seeing the 120-second cooldown. Cut it in half. Same as the EATs. Easy. Done. Boom. Pun intended. As for backpacks, I do love the jump pack, but the utility the warp pack provides really does blow it out of the water. A simple cooldown reduction from 15 seconds to 10 would still not match the warp pack's 5-second cooldown, but allow it to outpace it in terms of raw, simple mobility. And while we're on backpacks, the hover pack really needs some attention. Ideally, I'd like it to be reworked to use a recharging resource bar, allowing for brief 1 to 2 second hovers to reach high ground, or its current usage should some on-demand height be needed. Now, the rail cannon strike. This is another I rarely see outside of use by newbies, because honestly, a 3-minute cooldown to remove one heavy? The High Command know how many Hulks, Titans, or Harvesters there can be on Super Helldive? Nah, 45 seconds, 60 at the absolute most for the rail cannon's cooldown. And give it a rotating cooldown too. 3 strikes available to start with. When one is used, the cooldown begins, with each of the 3 having their own separate cooldowns. And lastly, for non-diver controlled equipment, let's talk about the Gatling Sentry. I spoke about this at length when I compared it to the MG Sentry, and I personally am willing to take some heat for this suggestion, but I'd like to see the turn radius increased from 160 degrees per second to 360. Sure, it's gonna team kill more, but not one single chaff enemy will be able to touch this thing. Lastly, for balance, let's talk mechs. My main issue with the Exosuits currently is their staying power. They either run out of ammo too quickly or are destroyed too quickly. If we want to talk power fantasy, let's work on the absolute power spike these mechs should provide. The so-called heavily armored Patriot Exosuit features medium armor at most, and that simply will not do. Increase all armor by 1 tier, medium becomes heavy, light becomes medium. You should be able to walk through 1,000 voltless before even having to worry about damage. Speaking of damage, the also heavy minigun is only medium penetration. Nah. Let's bump that up to heavy pen. And the 1,350 rounds it has, let's up that to, say, 2,000. Oh, and missiles. The biggest issue I find with these missiles is the miss part. So, let's change them to spear rockets. Damage and all. Let's use that onboard guidance system for something and let those rockets lock onto heavy targets for fire and forget action while the minigun rips up everything in front. And don't you think I've forgotten about the Emancipator Diver? Now, I'd like to give these two exosuits different roles, with the Patriot fulfilling much more of a tanky vanguard role, soaking up fire while putting down heavies and little ones alike. The Emancipator should be a precise tool, the quad autocannons providing long-range fire and demolishing enemy positions in heavies. As such, I'd like to see its armor stay the same, but instead receive a 30% speed increase, and more than double the ammo from 100 per arm to 250 for 500 total ammo. As well, let's up the 30mm autocannon shells to 40mm, the same as the autocannon Sentry uses. The speed and light armor combined with a massive ammo count and beastly damage will make the Emancipator well suited for almost any scenario, though harder to use to its full potential than the Patriot. And for those that say I'm going too far with these buffs, cap the amount to 1 per mission or up the cooldown. Do whatever you like, just so long as I can blast the Pacific Rim theme and go ham for a couple minutes in my walking death machine. Wow, those bound suggestions really took it out of me. Who'd thunk that the Quartermaster would have so much to say about armaments? Now, as one final suggestion, my most out there by far, have you ever seen the Helldivers 99 mod by Flinch? Link will be provided for those interested, but it overhauls the entire game to the PS1 style and apparently comes with massive FPS gains. I'm not joking when I say every modern hard-to-run game should have this as a toggleable feature. Call of Duty, Battlefield, whatever. The market is absolutely there. Those with systems unable to handle 4K ultra ray-traced graphics are out there, and they need a game to call their own too. Other than CSGO, I suppose. I'm no developer, so the logistics of such a thing elude me. But come on, I want to be able to play Helldivers on Babushka's Windows XP rig. And to wrap up, I may be a quartermaster, but these are all just opinions. Except the tier 6 ship upgrades. There's no way we don't get those at some point. Everything else, however, is just how I would personally improve this game that I love. But I'm just one quartermaster, so I'd love to hear your thoughts too. Did I go too far with buffs and changes? Not far enough? Or were there some I missed? Tell me. The only way we win is together. More gear breakdowns coming soon. Perhaps there might even be one of those covered in this video. Who knows what the future might hold? This is Quartermaster Creature, signing off. If you enjoyed this video, you might enjoy one of these ones too. Remember to like and subscribe and all that. And come watch me on Twitch as well, if you are interested. And I will see you next time.